Hey. Now, lately I've been thinking of new video ideas to make, since if you go and look at my older videos, all I would really do is just upload a match that I did really well in, and that's really about it. Sometimes I had commentary over it, sometimes I wouldn't, and it wouldn't really have like really any editing or anything. I just upload a match, sometimes have commentary, and that's kind of boring. No one really wants to see that. And I kind of just want to make more non-gameplay videos anyway, since, you know, this channel is just a general overall Splatoon channel. So, and it's kind of been working out with the whole side order stuff. All my side order videos have been doing very well, and even my recent non-side order videos are also doing very well. So I just want to branch out and do more non-gameplay stuff, since I love covering like cut content like you see in the title of this video. I love covering cut content, concept art, and all different types of things. So, and with Splatoon, you know, it's got a lot of content. But like you saw in the title, I'm gonna be going over some unused / cut content in Splatoon 3. Some of this is like pre-release content, so it's not exactly cut. So, and a lot of it has been like tweaked and changed. So even though it's not really cut content, I thought it was still interesting enough to include. And there's quite a bit, if you can see by the runtime of this video, there's quite a bit to go over, which, I mean, I'm not complaining. I like long videos, especially Splatoon videos. So let's not make this any longer. There's a lot of unused / cut stuff in this game. And to start, we have the weapons. And the first one is pretty interesting. So the Tri-Stringer originally wasn't going to have those explosive arrows, or the bottles as I like to call them. And it also was able to hold a charge while it was swimming. Now this may sound familiar because this is how the reflux works. So the gimmicks that the reflux have, or like the mechanics that the reflux has, were originally supposed to be on the Tri-Stringer. So that kind of begs the question, was the reflux created because of these scrapped Tri-Stringer mechanics, I guess? So they wanted to use these, but then they thought of a different idea for Tri-Stringer we have now. And you're like, you know what? Let's just turn these unused mechanics into an actual weapon. And I think that's actually pretty cool. So that could be a possibility, or it could have just been swapped, where Tri-Stringer is like reflux like Tri-Stringer. I doubt, since Tri-Stringer is more important weapon. It was the first new weapon we saw for Splatoon 3. It was kind of like a big part of the marketing was, oh, we get a bow and arrow weapon. So I think the Tri-Stringer came first, and then those unused ideas, they still wanted to use them, so reworked it into the reflux. Another thing for both of the stringers, the reflux and the stringer, you can see here on screen, it used to have like a projectile tracer. So kind of like the charger lines, it used to have those, but 3 of them for the 3 shots. That actually looks kind of dope. Okay, that actually looks really cool, but it kind of makes sense why they wouldn't have those, because actually I'm not really too sure, because chargers have them, so it wouldn't really be that different for Tri-Stringer. Maybe it's because it's 3 of them, so it's easier to hit a target. I don't know, but it would have been very interesting to see these projectile tracer lines here. And the next one is about the crab tank, and I'm not really too sure about this one. I think this was an incorrect. This is the crab tank's design seemed to be originally flatter. There was no inkling seen piloting in the announcement trailer footage, which I'm pretty sure we did see an inkling piloting the crab tank in the very first announcement trailer for Splatoon 3. I could be wrong. I haven't seen the announcement trailer. All right, I haven't gone back and watched it in a while, so I should probably do that for this video. But from what I remember, I'm pretty sure we did see an inkling in the announcement trailer, because they even zoomed in on him and showed it. So that could be a little bit wrong. And this is in the Return of the Mammalians trailer. Some segment of the crab tanks are colored to the writer's ink color. So nothing too insane. It's just different coloration based on the ink color of your playable character. And prior to the release date reveal trailer, the Big Bubbler's base did not have a squid beacon attached to it. I think we might have seen that in the announcement trailer actually. Again, I'm not sure. I don't even remember what the reveal trailer even looks like. I think the announcement trailer we saw new Agent 3, I guess, on the train, revived to Splatville, and then Splatoon 3 logo, and then it goes into some matches with the new Splatak going over it. I think that was the announcement trailer, right? And then I don't remember what the reveal trailer was. But this game is overall, they kind of used almost all the ideas that they had, at least for the weapons. The only thing different is the tri-stringer and the crab tank, and those were the two newest weapons, are like weapon and special. So of course they were going to be changed around a lot, since it takes a lot more work to tweak a brand new weapon or special than to just change an older one from a different game. But now we get onto the stages, and these ones are pretty interesting. Scorch Gorge was also very different, as you can see in the screenshots. Scorch Gorge was originally much wider and had much more elevation, and the great platforms leading to the center were center aligned. I'm not really too sure what that means. They were center aligned but uneven on both sides, meaning that it could have been the second multiplayer stage to not truly be symmetrical, with the first being Salt Spray Rig. Okay, so I guess the grates on each side, like I said, were center aligned, so they were kind of asymmetrical if you were to take a cross section of the stage. And I guess Salt Spray Rig was as well. I haven't played Splatoon 1, so I don't know anything about Splatoon 1 or the stages. I know most of the weapons, but I don't really know anything about Splatoon 1. I might be getting it soon, and I'm very excited to play that. So if y'all, any of y'all still play Splatoon 1, let me know, because I'm gonna need some people to hop on with. Next we have Eeltail, and Eeltail also was a lot wider. We actually saw this in the trailer. I think this was the reveal date trailer when they were showing the matches on Eeltail. It looked very different. You see the screenshots here, but it's a lot easier to see from the trailer itself. It was a lot bigger, a lot wider, and there was more open space near the bases of each side, and there was more ways to get up there. I really liked the design it had at first. I'm not really too sure why they shrunk it down, but I liked the old Eeltail we had. And the red rail used in that version was reused for the Splat Zones layout of the stage. Next is Museum d'Alfonso. That one didn't really change too much. It's still relatively the same as it was in the first game, but at the center with the rotating cylinder thing, in the final version it has 3 spokes, I guess, while in the original, the pre-release version, it only had 2. So it's very interesting to see how stages and maps were before release, especially when they were pretty much finished. And even returning stages from older games, they still changed around too, and it wasn't just like a direct port. But next we're getting to unused gear icons. As we know, in the menus when we're choosing our gear or weapons, we have the 2D icons to show what gear or weapon it is. And apparently there are unused 2D icons for the hero mode gear, kind of maybe suggesting that at some point we were going to be able to unlock them for multiplayer. So icons for gear we get in story mode are in the game, they're like in the data and files of the game, but obviously they're clothing we can't wear outside of the story mode, like the orange clothes we can see here, like the golden orange clothes for when we get armor. because the regular yellow outfits we can have after beating the main story in Alterna, but these different colored like orange ones for getting armor, we can't wear these outside of just the story mode. And we have similar gear for original Agent 3 from Splatoon 1. We can see here their outfits and gear are also unobtainable, but they do have icons as well as the enemy Octolings. So perhaps we're going to be able to wear all of these in the game, maybe through amiibo or just beating the story mode or whatever. So it's pretty cool to see that even though we aren't able to obtain these, they still have their 2D icons. Now next we're getting into a lot of the bigger stuff. There's a lot of stuff about Turf War or Tableturf. Tableturf was changed quite a bit, at least a lot of the icons here. And to start, we can see Callie's Tableturf battle card sleeve used to be very different. It used to be just some basic Splatoon icon of her, like the classic Splatoon icon, and then eventually they decided to change it into one of her album arts. So I think this one looks a lot better than just the icon. And just for clarity, everything on the left is going to be the early versions, and everything on the right is going to be the final version, just so y'all know. Next here we see an Octoling holding the mini Splatling. Now the difference, obviously we can see it's kind of like squished down, so maybe that's just how the image came out, but the difference here is that on the left, the Octoling is wearing the Splatoon 2 exclusive Eminence cuff on the ear. You can see on his left ear right there, he's wearing it in the early version but not in the final version, which would make sense since that's only in Splatoon 2 as of now. So obviously they would have to change it to be more congruent with Splatoon 3. And the next one here is the Octo Trooper. Originally it was just going to be some 2D illustration before they changed it to a 3D cutout. And those are for like the battle icons that are the most different. Here we have a lot more for some of the weapons, starting with the 52 gal. Here on the left you can see the socks are miscolored. The shoes and socks are miscolored from what they actually look like in game now. So it's a small difference, but on the left you can see here the socks are white, but on the right they're like deep blue. A lot of these are minor changes that you kind of have to look for, but they are there and noticeable once you actually notice them. So with these ones here for the sloshing machine, the one on the left doesn't have the streamers coming from the squid banners like the one on the right has. So that was a nice little change they had. This one is even harder to spot with the range blaster. The lenses of the ink tinted goggles have different shadings in the early version than they do in the final version. As you can see, it's just very slightly tinted or shaded higher, shaded brighter. Now this one, it feels like just the more we go on, the longer we go on, the harder these are to notice. Here for the Luna Blaster, the pupils are a bit smaller and they more resemble Marina and Shiver's pupils than just like a regular Octolings or a Tableturf card. So this, again, like I said, these are very minor changes, nothing too insane that you'll notice just by first glance. You'd have to like look hard at some of these to even notice it. Like this next one here, or the Splattershot Pro, all that's really different are the shoes are different colored. On the left you can see it's orange, and on the right it is green. So nothing too insane. And this one's even harder to notice. For the E-liter scope, the shirt is a different color. The button clown shirt is miscolored in the early version. It's more of a pinkish here, where on the right it's more of like a red, at least a darker pink. And as for the squiff here, the squiff itself is miscolored. On the left you can see where the bottle attaches to the nozzle, the squiff nozzle, I guess, is black, as well as like the end of the bottle. So both ends of the bottle are black in the early version, and in the final version they are gray, bit of a dark gray. Here this one is a lot easier to notice with the slosher. It's just orange instead of purple. That's it. It's colored after the slosher in Splatoon 2, but then, you know, recolored to be more in line with Splatoon 3. So I think that's a pretty cool idea. I love a lot of the Splatoon 2, not symbolism, I guess symbolism, or references in Splatoon 3. And now here, again, just like the slosher, the Explosh resembles the Splatoon 2 coloration. So as you can see, for like the nozzle, I guess, is silver in the early version, while in the final version it's gold. Now as for this one's actually pretty interesting. The tent umbrella on the left, the logo or the colors are more dulled and kind of washed. You can see it's a bit of a lower saturation in the original or in the early versions, but in the final versions it's more saturated, you know, more popping, I guess. And as well as the Sorella logo is lower, it's placed lower on the umbrella in the early version. As you can see, it's kind of in the middle with nothing really dividing it, but in the final version there's that black band there, and then the Sorella logo is above it. Next we have the Nautilus, and for whatever reason in the early version the Nautilus was missing the color. So you know how some weapons change color depending on what color your Inkling or Octoling is at time. One of the most notable examples is the Heavy. It'll change colors with every different match, you know, and that's true for a lot of weapons, and Nautilus is one of those weapons. But if you can barely see right there in the middle, where I guess that like the rounded head of the Nautilus, where it connects to the rest of it, in the middle right there, you can kind of see the yellow. It's easier to see on the right side. You look in there, it's looks like it's not there, or it's just a lot darker for some reason. I guess they just forgot to color that part, but good thing they caught it. It's like I said, these are small tiny details that wouldn't normally notice, so I'm surprised some of these were caught. Next is the Splatbrella, and once again, say it with me, it has the Splatoon 2 color scheme, which was changed again to go more in line with Splatoon 3. I actually kind of like Splatoon 2's color scheme more, the red, white, and blue. Now, like the purple and white looks very clean, but I do like the red on it. And here, this is probably one of the hardest to notice, is the Splatana Stamper. The Inkling's eye color is different in the early version than it is in the final version. I know it may not look like it's any different, but trust me, it is. Even very slightly, it is different. It's just a small difference that it might as well not even be there. Next, we have my favorite section, actually, and these are badge icons. As you know, we can put badges on our banners after meeting certain requirements, and these are for all of the specials. And as you can tell right away, a lot of them are different. So for most of them, the accent color is lime green instead of cyan. For a lot of these, like the Tacticoolers, the Titty Missiles, the Trizuka, and even the Ink Vac right here. So I'm kind of glad they changed it, because it looks very off-putting. The white and dark blue go well together, and then just having this light lime green kind of just throws it off a little bit. I like the lime green color in general, but it just doesn't really fit for this. Now, one of them that you may notice very immediately is that the triple ink strike badge actually looks like the suction bomb launcher icon instead of a triple ink strike. So maybe they just use this as a placeholder. As you can tell, all of them say test above them, so obviously they're testing this out in the development of the game. But it makes you wonder, was Bomb Rush supposed to come back in Splatoon 3? Because that would be really cool. I love Bomb Rush, alright? I love all the different types, and I like how they gave them to all the bombs. You got auto bomb launcher, curling bomb launcher, suction, burst, splat. Imagine a fizzy bomb launcher, that'd be terrible. But yeah, I really do like Bomb Rush, and I'm kind of disappointed it didn't come back in Splatoon 3. There's quite a few specials in Splatoon 2 that I really like that I wish came back in Splatoon 3. Like Baller, I liked Baller a lot. I loved Baller. It was so cool. It's not the greatest special, but it was very cool. Stingray, I don't know if I missed Stingray. Alright, that Stingray was kind of too overpowered. Now, Killer Whale that we have now in Splatoon 3, it's cool, it's alright, but I think I probably would have preferred Stingray, even if it is more annoying. It would just make the match even more hectic, and it would just be more fun, even if I'm getting tortured by Stingray. Ink Armor was cool, but the Ink Armor was kind of broken, so I can understand why they got rid of that. Because, you know, with Heavy Edit now, it'll just shred that. Speaking of Heavy Edit, bro, that weapon is amazing. I've been playing it non-stop. You see how fast Heavy Edit can just shred? See how fast Heavy Edit just shreds big bubblers? It can even shred Crab Tank. It's disgusting, alright? Just imagine how fast it'll shred Ink Armor. There'd be no point in even running it. Just throw some object shredder on Heavy Edit and you're done for. Just nothing you can do. Ink Armor, Crab Tank, Bubbler, it all just gets destroyed by Heavy Edit. That weapon is absolutely amazing. And another one that you may not have noticed is that Big Bubbler. The Big Bubbler icon is also different. In the test version, it didn't have the squid beacon that is in the original version. Just like earlier, even in game itself, it didn't have the squid beacon inside of it that we see. So I like how they kept it congruent and made sure the badge matched the actual special. I know that seems like a little detail because it wouldn't really matter if the badge had. So no surprise, my laptop ran out of space as I was recording this, and I didn't realize until quite a ways in. So it cut off right here when I was talking about the Big Bubbler. But as I was saying, it wouldn't really matter if it's not entirely accurate, considering it's just a badge we're going to see on our banners, which isn't going to show up all that much in general. But it is nice that they took the time to make sure it was consistent. I like that. But another badge that is different from the final version is the Wave Breaker. Here we can see it actually has like actual waves of like walls of ink. So again, that begs the question, if Wave Breaker was going to be different in game, so it would actually shoot out these walls of ink instead of just like the expanding ring that it has, and we'd actually have to like full hop over it. That would be so cool. Wave Breaker would be so much better if the waves were actually higher and an actual threat. If they were just like raised up that looked like this, actual waves, and it sent out actual waves, then that would actually be a real Wave Breaker. That would be really cool. But everything else just looks relatively similar. I do think the change from lime green to cyan was a very nice addition. And the funny thing too is that even the suction bomb launcher, the accent color was pink, not even lime green. So they just completely overhauled Triple Ink Strike. Next, we have an unused emote. And this emote is unobtainable in the game as of now, but everyone can still use it. And that is the tricolor emote. Whenever we win a tricolor match on the attacking team, we use this emote where we're just crossing our arms and nodding. That we can only use it after winning a tricolor battle after attacking, but it is currently unobtainable through like general shop or catalog, whatever. So it having an unused icon like the rest of them kind of hints that maybe we were originally supposed to be able to unlock it, at some point, but then they decided against it because they wanted to keep it exclusive to Splatfest, kind of keep some of that special Splatfest magic, I guess. And some more uncut or some more cut content. This is for the story mode actually, and for this one I'm about to talk about, I don't have an image of it. I couldn't find an image for it, and if I do find one during editing, I'll put it in here. But apparently there is an image of a zapfish can be seen in Alterna with the upside down buildings, but as we know, as of base game, zapfish only appear in the crater and not in Alterna. So this was changed pretty late in development, as well as the next one. Also in the Return of the Mammalians trailer, we see Agent 8 taking in the sights of Alterna's buildings with this like mirrored world with the buildings on the top and bottom. However, we see Agent 3 with yellow ink tank and everything. But there are no levels in the game that have both this building background and yellow ink color. So I think all the levels we play through in this like background, we have blue ink or no ink at all. I'm not quite sure, but it's not yellow ink. And showing that this was in the trailer means they changed this pretty late in development. Not really too sure why they changed it, but it was a change. And now Alterna's overworld altogether is very different. Like the Alternan Space Center is very different, as well as Future Utopia Island. And to start, which is immediately apparent here, is the Future Utopia Island. I guess the dome, the sky dome was different. It was a lot more cloudier and darker, and even the lighting for it is originally more overcast to kind of reflect this cloudier and darker tone to kind of give it a more sense of realism. But I guess that would kind of impact gameplay, and it would just look a lot better if it was just a clear sky, because we'd be able to see everything clearer and it would just look a lot smoother. Also, the terrain in Future Utopia Island is different, causing several landmarks to be positioned slightly different. It's not too huge of a difference, but it is there. Another thing is that the numbers on the orange structure here in the middle do not overlap with the white indentation in the trailer, but in the final game they do. So that's something else that they changed. A lot of these where it changes, relatively minor changes. Another one is that red tape can be seen on a piece of corrugated sheet metal when the new Squidbeak Splatoon introduces themselves, but in the final game the tape isn't there. Also, the spirit lifter is not covered with fuzzy ooze in this trailer, as you can see in the back there. I guess they maybe hadn't come up with that yet, and they just built the area first and then kind of built up the story around that. I'm really not sure, but they obviously still had a lot to work on by the time this trailer did come out. And the area between Rocket 1 and 2 in the Alternate Space Center sequence has graffiti on it not seen in the final game. If I can find a screenshot or a picture of that somewhere, I will put it up here. And the rocket service structure seen between Rocket 3 and 4 had less lighting, a differently placed prop, and no pipes above the player. And next, we actually have the new Salmon Run stage, Sockeye Station. Now this has several differences from the pre-release material to what we have now. The Aji Frye Tower originally did not have protrusions coming out of it. I'm not sure what that means. If maybe that's this big tower in the back we can see here. I'm not quite sure what it means by protrusions, maybe like the little deck or the thing on top. But I actually never even noticed this tower in the background to begin with. Is this even in the base game? I don't even remember that tower there. Okay, maybe I'm just stupid and don't pay attention, which would be true, but you know, I can't believe I never noticed that big ass tower right there. Also, the left side of the fortress did not protrude outward, instead coming inward like its opposite side. Still not sure what it's saying there. I'm not going to list every single difference because they're kind of minor, and a lot of them I can't even notice myself. So if y'all want to look more into it, the source where I found all of this information will be linked in the description. I'm getting all this from the Wikipedia website, so that will be linked down here for this specific page for y'all to come see all of the differences in this list right here. But another thing for Salmon Run is the flipper flopper. In pre-release footage, the flipper flopper did not rebound on dive when its ring was painted over. Instead, it just immediately just fell over to its side. So it's presumed that they didn't have an animation for this at the time of this trailer releasing. They just kind of had the general concept but didn't have the animation of it slamming down into the ground, breaking its mask, and just flipper flopping over at that time. Also, the cooler that Mr. Grizz statue rests on did not originally have stickers, so it was just completely bare, but as we see in base game, it has stickers all over it. And this next one is actually pretty cool. So apparently the leg wear that Agent 8 wears in Octo Expansion was originally supposed to be obtainable in game, like in Splatoon 3 through like amiibos and stuff for the Octoling girl and Octoling boy amiibos. You're going to get their respective leg wear. But if the game is modified so that these can be chosen by the player, it can be seen that both the skirt and pants have meshes to be used for both feminine and masculine styles. As the legwear is only used on the amiibo characters, the masculine style of the skirt and the feminine style of the pants go unused. So even though we had like the skirt for the females and then the shorts for males, both of them accommodated to both. So we could get feminine and male skirt and then feminine and male shorts. That's pretty cool. I don't think I've seen a game do that before where like the boy and girl options of like clothing, you could still have a boy and girl option of the boy and girl options. So that's really cool. It would have been cool if they added that in. I know it's just for amiibo, but maybe scanning the amiibo twice will give you both of them, or maybe it was just too much and too confusing to put both versions in. So instead of having all four, we just have the two basic ones we see in Octo Expansion. Still pretty cool that there is Octo Expansion content in Splatoon 3. Now the last one I'm going to be covering again is to do with Salmon Run, and this one's very interesting. In the trailer for Salmon Run Next Wave, the Booyah animation is incomplete, and when you press Booyah, you know, the Inkling like pumps their weapon up in the air. But as you can see here in this that was loud. You can see here in this section of the trailer, the animation is incomplete and the Inkling's mouth doesn't move when saying Booyah, which in the base game it does. Again, very minor details that while in gameplay you're not really going to notice this at all, since the camera will be facing your back, and even if it was facing front, the camera's so pulled out that you can't really see the Inkling's mouth anyway. So it just goes to show that the developers just took the time to like iron out a lot of these kinks. Though the game isn't perfect, Splatoon 3 isn't perfect, alright. A lot of stuff can still be fixed in terms of like some glitches. They could rework some of the maps, but that's more of like a not really a gameplay issue, but it would be nice for the maps to be different and be more open like Splatoon 2's. But these are talking about like technical issues. The map design isn't really a technical issue per se, as according to all of this, like these unused and unfinished animations. So Splatoon 3 was still relatively in an unfinished state when we saw it in the trailers, for all the trailers actually. So it's pretty cool to see a lot of the unused content. So there's quite a bit of unused content for Splatoon 3, even though it came out only a year ago and was finding all of this. So I actually enjoyed making this video, and I might go back and make one for Splatoon 2 and Splatoon 1. Just go over the unused content for those games. And I'm going to like clean up the video a little bit, make it more organized. I'm kind of just like all over the place. I didn't write a script for this video because I didn't really think I needed to, so I might just write one for the next videos, or just, you know, focus my thoughts more. I tend to rant and go on long tangents all the time. So I'm going to clean it up and make it better and more, you know, digestible to watch. But yeah, I enjoyed this video, so I want to make more like cut content videos, look into some concept art, just a bunch of non-gameplay stuff. So yeah, hopefully y'all enjoyed this video, but that's really about it. If I find any more, obviously I'm gonna make more videos on it. But as of now, that's all that's on the Wikipedia website, at least for Splatoon 3. But yeah, that's really about it. So see you next mission to play some goddamn Splatty.